I know, isn't that crazy?
It's also Friday the 13th last month.
Yeah, true. Yeah, good point. Okay, Friday 13th. Go ahead and write down our question. Factoring question. How do you all feel about factoring? Thumbs up, sideways, down. What do you think? Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you some hints and things that you probably want to try to remember, to some tips to help you become a better factorer. Because factoring is such a big skill. If there was one thing that I would say you need to know before you graduate high school, if you're planning to do anything after high school, any education, or college, community college, is factoring, because you use that a lot. A lot. Okay. First thing first, let's label it A, B, and C. Okay. Because A is 2, we have to make a box. Now, if A was 1, we wouldn't have to make a box. But because A is not 1, we have to make a box. When you make your box, your first term goes in this square, and your last term has to go in this square for this method. You have to set up your box that way. Now, to figure out what goes in the other 2 boxes, we're going to make our X. I'm going to multiply 2 times -3. What is 2 times -3? -6. B goes at the bottom. All right, so don't say it out loud. Give everybody a chance to figure out 2 numbers that multiply to give you -6, but add to a -5. And whatever we come up in with these 2 are going to go in these 2 boxes. So whatever my 2 numbers are will go in the last 2 squares. So I think this is the hardest part, figuring out those numbers. Has to multiply to be -6, add to a -5. All right, anybody know my numbers? What'd you say? 2 and -6? 1 and -6. I agree with that. All right, so we have 1 and -6. So in one box, I'm going to put a -1x. I'm sorry, a +1x, and in the other box, a -6x. Now, these 2 squares can be flip-flopped. Okay, but the red and the green, they have to be exactly like that. Okay, so now we're going to go 2 squares at a time. Top row. What can I take out of top row? The only thing that I can divide out of 2 and 1 is 1. But I can also take out an x. Now, I have taught factoring a lot of different ways. At the school I taught at before teaching at Pike, we did not do the box method. The box method is something I started teaching. That's the method we do here. However, and at first I wasn't sure about it. However, I do like it because you can check your answers easily with this method, okay? Because you have to remember whatever you take out should multiply to give you what's on the inside. So what I mean by that is, if I take out a 1x here, well, whatever I put here, like what do I multiply by 1x to get 2x squared? Well, it has to be 2x. These 2 squares multiply to give you 2x squared. All right, if I have a 1x right here, well, let's go to the bottom row. What can I take out of these two squares? What's the number? -3. Just like people, you take the attitude or energy of what you're closest to. So because that -3 is closest to a -6x, it's also negative. And then lastly, if you notice, like I have 1x minus 3 here and 1x minus 3 here, that means I'm taking out a 1. Now pause and ask yourself, when you multiply, do you get what's on the inside? And you do. So your factors will be 2x plus 1 times 1x minus 3. And that would be your answer. All right. Let's go to our notes. So today we're going to talk about the Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. The most important thing to know is that, first of all, this square represents 90 degrees. And the side, if I were to draw an arrow, if I put my pen at the corner and I go straight across, the side that my arrow points to is C. So this side is C. And that's really important because that side has to be C. It has to be C. Now, the other two sides, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I call this side A or B or A or B, but the other two sides are A and B. The most important part is C, which another word for that stands for is your hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle. It's opposite of the 90-degree angle, and it must be C. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our first question here. It says, find the missing side. If you know two sides, we can use the Pythagorean theorem. On Monday, we're going to talk about, well, what if we don't know two sides? How do we find another side, okay? If you know two sides of a right triangle, has to be a right triangle, we can do the Pythagorean theorem. And we're going to round to the 10th place. How many zeros are in $10? 1 0. So that means I only want one number after the decimal. Okay. So X, that is C. So in the Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to go ahead and write it out. C is unknown. We're going to call that X. Now the other two sides, it does not matter which one you call A and which one you call B. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to say that this is A and this side is B. So we have 2.3 squared plus 5 squared. All right, let's pick up our calculator. First, I want you to type in 2.3 and square it. This one over there. Oh, and this one back here too. Don't round anything until the end. So we're going to write as 5.29. And then take the 5 and square that. Okay. Now, because I'm trying to find C, and C is on the opposite side of my equal sign, the next thing I'm going to do is add these two numbers together. So I want you to add 5.29 plus 25. And you should get 30.29. All right, and the last step is to take the square root. So when you take the square root, and that's something I discovered at the end of first period. If you do not know how to get a square root on your calculator, please raise your hand, I will help you. But you have to hit the green key first. Then you need to hit the X squared button. Green key, X squared, and you should have a roof. And when you type that in, you should get X equals 5.5. Did they have a unit? I'm trying to see. Oh, inches. Sorry, I was trying to see what the unit is. Inches. And that would be my final answer. So let me come around and see if anyone needs calculator help. You know how to type in square root? Or can we keep it? You can keep it C squared, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and look at number 2. So the main thing you have to look at is, are you trying to find C? What are we trying to find? So when I look at number 2, what is the 17? That is C. Because remember, when you draw your arrow from the corner of the box across, whatever side the arrow is pointing to is C. Then I'm going to call this A and this B. All right, so when I set up my Pythagorean theorem, this time I know C. I'm not trying to find C. I'm trying to find one of the other sides. So when I set it up, it would be 17 squared equals 11.9 squared plus B squared. Pick up your calculators. Demetrius, would you like an actual pencil?
Yeah.
There's some on my desk. You don't have to use a colored pencil. We have plenty. Go ahead, type in 17 squared. If not, there's some over there. Well, is there some over there in the yellow pencil box? All right, go ahead, type in 17 squared and type in 11.9 squared. Whenever you borrow a pencil, which is fine, if you know you're not going to keep up with it, just put it back over there, because I buy those pencils with my own money. So I feel like we go through them a lot, but I feel like you all use it and then like throw them away or something. I don't know. But if you know you're not going to keep up with it, just put it back over there. You know. All right, 17 squared is 289. Equals 11.9 squared, which is 141.61, plus B squared. This is not the same as the first one, okay? Because now I have to find B. So my next step, you see over here how I added next? Well, I'm not going to add because they're on opposite sides of the equal sign. What I have to do this time is subtract. Because I'm trying to solve for B, which means I need to get the B value by itself. So go ahead, type that in your calculator. All right, last step is to get rid of the square. The opposite of squaring is to take the square root. So you're going to type in the square root, hit the green key, hit the x squared key. Then type in 147.38. All right, so is it going to be 12.1 or do I round that 1 to a 2? So it says 1 and then the next number is 4. So because this number is less than 5, we keep it a 1. So my answer would be, what is the unit? Centimeters? Yeah, 12.1 centimeters equals B. That's right. So now you're going to hit clear, hit the green button, hit x squared. That's not the right button. Then you type in 147.38. And that's why it's 12.1. Okay. All right, let's look at number 3. So this is my triangle. I'm going to actually redraw it. This is the triangle that I'm looking at. So I'm going to redraw it over here. All right, so this side is 13. This is what I don't know. What do you think the length of my bottom leg is going to equal? If the whole thing is 10, and these little hash marks mean that they're equal. So basically that means I'm cutting it in half. So this side would be what? 5. All right, what are we trying to find? Are we trying to find a leg or are we trying to find the hypotenuse? A leg, good. Because across 13, that is C. That's the hypotenuse. These two sides are legs. So I always start by rewriting my Pythagorean theorem. So that would be 13 squared. And I put x squared plus 5 squared. Step number 1, get rid of your exponents. So you're going to type this in your calculator. And you're going to type that in your calculator. So I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Kathy, you okay? Okay. Yes.
Okay, so I know they make receipts, so like this is for these we're not looking for receipts.
Yeah, so it's basically, so a triangle has 3 sides. That's what the A, B, and C represent. So we're just trying to find whatever is missing. For the first example, we were missing C. Now what I will say is that for these two, you see how I made the phi and B? I could also put that A. That doesn't matter. Here, how I made the 11.9a, that's also B. A and B, they don't matter. But you're finding whatever is missing. Sometimes it'll be the hypotenuse, and sometimes it'll be a leg. But when you're looking for a leg, it doesn't matter if we call that leg A or leg B. That's the same. Does that kind of make sense? Good questions, though. All right, so what do we get? What is 13 squared? 169. Remember, I told y'all not to get on my nerves, right? Because I said first period got on my nerves. So I need y'all to put away these phones because the test wasn't great. And I'll show y'all in a minute. So my hope is that we could do better on the next test. But that's not going to happen if we're on our phone and not actually trying to learn. So I just want to throw that out there. 169 equals x squared plus 25. So what is my next step? Because I have to solve for x. And right now, x has two things happening to it. It has a 25 being added and it has a square. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of the 25 by subtracting it. The last thing I'm going to do is get rid of the square by taking a square root. And when you type in 144, the square root of 144 is 12. So that missing side is 12 centimeters. So every triangle has three sides. I knew the hypotenuse was 13. I knew one of the legs was 5. The other leg we found is 12. All right, let's look at number 4. What are they asking us to find? We know two sides. So what is y? Is y the hypotenuse or is it a leg? Hypotenuse. Why is it the hypotenuse, Miss Bryan? Because I really wasn't paying attention. Okay, let me explain it again. You have the right angle right here. When I draw my arrow across, if that arrow, whatever side it's pointing to, is the hypotenuse. Okay? The box is looking at C. So this is C. This has to be C. And then we have A and we have B. And again, I want to make sure, Miss Bryant, how do you know 24 is A and not B? Actually, that doesn't matter. We can call 33A and 24B. The only side that is critical is the hypotenuse. So I have C squared is 24 squared plus 33 squared. Pick up your calculators and find 24 squared and 33 squared. What you get? Huh? You not finished?
Okay. I got 576 and then 1,080.
Okay, add them together. And then take the square root of your answer. So you gotta keep going. As far as what?
Like C first always? Or
No,
C?
it doesn't matter. You can do a squared plus b squared equals c squared too, yeah. So did you get 40.8 or 40.9? 40.8. Did they give us a unit? Inches. All right, now let's do some word problems. 2 more and then we are finished. So we have a garden plot in the shape of a right triangle. So the first thing I'm going to do on my paper is draw a right triangle, which means I'll put a little box in the corner. Now they told us 2 sides. They told us that one side is going to be 10 feet and one side is 7 feet. So how do we know where to put these? All right, it says the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 10. That means that's what? Is that going to be C or A? C. So I'm going to put a 10 right here. And then it says one of the legs is 7. So it doesn't matter where I put the 7. I could put it here or I could put it at the bottom. Okay. One of the other legs is 7. I'm going to put it, I don't know, I think I'll put it here. And it says, what is the other leg? So I'm going to call this side A. So write your Pythagorean theorem. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. And I'm about to tell you something really important about your calculator. So it's really important you all hear me, because in a minute you're going to get something weird in your calculator. And you need to know what to do, okay? So let's go ahead. We're going to do our 10 squared, A squared, B squared. Go ahead and find what 10 squared is. What is 7 squared? Now, in order to solve for A, am I going to add 49 or subtract the 49 next? Subtract it. All right, so here's the thing that's weird, okay? The next thing I want you to do is type in the square root of 51. How many of your calculators just told you the same thing, square root of 51? So everybody look at me, okay? When that happens, I want you to look, find your enter key. Right above the enter key is a button that has 2 triangles pointing left and right. Hit that button to get the decimal answer. So I'm going to come around and make sure we all have, I'm not going to write it on the screen because I don't want you to just write it down, right? Because eventually you're going to take a test and you're going to do it on your own. So I'm going to come around and see, make sure everybody got the correct answer in decimal form. So the answer should be 7.1, not 7.14, just 7.1. So A is 7.1, and what's our unit? Feet. All right, last one. Okay. A painter leans his 15-foot ladder against the side of a house. I'm going to pause right here. We do not need to be fancy artists here. Do not take too long to draw this picture. But I'm just going to draw a house, and I'm going to lean a ladder against it. It's not perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is the ground. Okay. The area from here to here, what does that look like to you? A right triangle. Now, the ladder is 15 feet, so that means I'm going to put the 15 where the ladder is. The base of the ladder sits on the ground. So we have these two sides. Where the ladder meets the ground, the distance here is 9. It's asking us how high up on the house does the ladder reach? How high up, it should say on the house, does the ladder reach? So that would be either A or B. So let's go ahead and find it. 15 squared equals, remember that 9 could be A or B. I made it B, you can make it A. Same difference. But 15 has to be C.